Hey, what is up everyone? This is Private Mittens, and today I'm going to be doing my top 20 FPS list. Finally getting around to doing it, and hopefully you enjoy. Let's get some rules out of the way first before we get started. As always, it's one per franchise, no hybrids, like say for instance, no Fallout, no Borderlands, that kind of thing. It's got to be the actual genre it's based off, and obviously this list, first person shooter. Just going to warn you now, there is some games that a lot of people are going to be asking, where's this and that? They're not on this list at all. And that is because I don't think they're as great as what other people make them out to be. In saying that, let us get started. So, number 20, for runner-up, we have Battlefield 2. Yes, Battlefield's this low. Released in 2005 worldwide. It's developed by DICE, or Digital Illusions, and published by EA. I played so much of this game back in the day. I mean, I can still see, buying this day one, installing it, and just I must have put more hours into this game than almost every game on this list, and it begs the question, doesn't it? Why isn't it higher on the list? Well, it's because I honestly believe that a first-person shooter should have a good story or single player. It doesn't have a single player. It's essentially bots. That's all it is. And the multiplayer, while it's definitely the best in the franchise, it's not really a single player game, unfortunately, but it's utterly fantastic. If you can tell by the footage in the background, an amazing game. I think the Battlefield series got worse and worse after Battlefield 2. There was some good exceptions, but 2 was the pinnacle of the franchise, and it's just unfortunate that we'll never have a good Battlefield like that ever again because of DICE and their social justice ways. But that is number 20, Battlefield 2. So number 19, we have Shadow Warrior, the 2013 reboot of the original, which I haven't played, by the way. So the developer, Flying Wild Hog, and the publisher, Devolver Digital, released in 2013, as I just stated. This game is amazing. If you love Duke Nukem, you have to play this game. It's identical. It's think of Duke Nukem except if he was Asian, and it was more demons as aliens instead. That's all I'm saying, and that's what this is. I mean, the tongue-in-cheek humor is phenomenal. It doesn't care who it offends. It just goes straight into it, and that's what I like about it. To give you an example, Lo Wang, the main character, the very first part of the game, like the very first cutscene, is him driving through a forest singing "You've Got the Touch" by Stan Bush. That should give you a rough idea of what you're in for. And the gameplay itself is absolutely fantastic. As I stated, I haven't played the original, so I don't know what it's done compared to the original. But yeah, please check this out, guys. It's really cheap now, and you definitely should check it out. And also, fun fact, it's actually done by the original Duke Nukem developers. So yeah, that should give you an idea. So that was number 19. Moving on. So number 18, we have GoldenEye 007, released in 1997, developed by Rare, the legendary British developers, and published by Nintendo. Yeah, a lot of people are going to be wondering why this isn't in the list, the actual top 15. Well, here's the thing. I was a PC gamer. I've said this many a times at the time. I was used to graphics like that for, on a PC, of course. And I never owned a 64 until 98 when I bought it for, Ocarina of Time, F-Zero, that kind of stuff. This was one of the games that I got to play at a friend's house that had it and bought it. And we put so many hours into the split screen. It was amazing. Like the versus split screen. And when I actually got my Nintendo 64, played the game, and the story's amazing. I have to say, there's only one GoldenEye game, one 007 game that comes close to this, and that gives you a rough idea, considering this is a very old game, and in terms of controls, it's aged like shit. But I still believe this to be the best, or even one of, or if not the best movie tie-in ever released, even though it did come out after the movie. But yeah, so that's GoldenEye 007. I'm not going to go too much on about that because a lot of people have played it. So, yeah, moving on. So, at number 17, we have Bioshock. Yes, it's not in the top 15, but still, it's in the top 20. Developed by 2K Boston and 2K Australia. Published by 2K Games themselves. Released in 2007. I remember this game. You couldn't escape the hype, all the awards it was winning, and at the time, I never bought it for the PC at the time because at the time I was preoccupied with a certain series called Command & Conquer. But I was wondering to myself, what's the hype? What's this? Seriously, what is the big deal with Bioshock? So I eventually bought it. Never played it. Yeah, I know, it's very, very strange. Then I eventually bought it on PS3, which I think came out in 2008, I think. Then I eventually played it in 2009. Yes, it took me that time. It took me, I had ample opportunity to play the game, but never played it. So come 2009, I actually played it, and I was amazed at how good it was. Like, I don't think it's perfect, like 10 out of 10, but it's easily a 9.5. It's that good of a game. Everyone remembers the ending, which I'm not going to spoil. The story's amazing, hence why it's remembered, because there is no single multiplayer. The atmosphere is phenomenal. I love Rapture. I love the gameplay. I love the whole, you got the little girls, I forgot what they're called, little sisters or something like that there. You got a choice if you want to harvest them for more power or save them and get less, but you're doing the right thing, that kind of thing. I liked that kind of thing that it was doing. Too bad Bioshock Infinite didn't do that. But, yeah, I'm not going to go too much. I can go on and on about the whole different elements you can use in the game. The whole design of the Big Daddy looking amazing, that kind of stuff. But, yeah, so not going to go too much on. So, yeah, Bioshock everyone's played, so I'm not going to go on. I've just said that like 4 times now. So that's number 17, Bioshock. So just shy of number 15, we have at number 16, Far Cry 2. Yes, I believe it's to be the best Far Cry ever made. And it was released in 2008, developed by Ubisoft Montreal, and published by Ubisoft, of course. I'm not joking when I say this. Me and Devil played this more online than we did other games that should have had more attention in this genre. For example, we played this more than we played 2009 Wolfenstein. We played it more than we played the likes of Battlefield. I actually played this more than Battlefield 3. And I'm talking online, by the way, not single player. And there's a reason for this. You made your own maps. Share them with your friends and others online. You can download their maps and fuck around with those maps. To me, that is what gaming or FPS genre should be doing. Hence why everyone raves and rants about 5 doing it, yet this did it first and is, removed from 3 and 4. And, what do you call it? Primal, but that's, a different thing. Single player, although not the best in the series, that I think anyone will agree. I like the whole, pick a companion, they go around Africa with you, that kind of stuff. I love the guns feel more weighted and grounded as opposed to what the ones that came after did. I like the whole fact that they, over time guns would jam, get dirty visually and, start playing up on you and then eventually bang, they're gone. I liked how you had to actually go around the map and collect, the diamonds to actually get yourself better stuff. It give you the incentive to actually go out and get what you needed. Like, something that the other Far Cries don't really do. And this is coming from someone, by the way, that is Platinum 3 and 4. I have not played Primal yet, or 5. But Far Cry 2 was amazing. I bet you just talking about this now, because Devil's getting the footage, of course, he's thinking, damn, why didn't we play more of this? It's that good of a game. I love the only thing it could have done better, but we'll get to the last part of it before I move on. That engine. Those graphics for their time looked amazing. In fact, Crobat, a popular YouTuber, go and check him out, did a video of comparing this to 5, and this, in a lot of aspects, flattens 5 in terms of, visuals and, realistic, features and, stuff like that there. So it goes to show that Ubisoft Montreal did a really good job on that, and unfortunately the series, just like I said with Battlefield, the series has never hit the high that what Far Cry 2 has, although 3 did do a good job. I'm not saying it didn't, but yeah. So just shy of number 15, Far Cry 2. Here we go, ladies and gents. Top 15. This was hard to do, by the way. So at number 15, Metro 2033. Developed by 4A Games, published by THQ and released in 2010. Why did I chose this over Last Light? Well, I believe this nailed the horror aspect far better than Last Light did, and I believe this game to be a lot more survival horror than what the Last Light did, which Last Light's the sequel for anyone that hasn't twigged on yet. It's a first-person shooter, of course. Obviously, it's not on the list. It's set in Russia after a nuclear fallout, and you go through like subways and shit like that. There, it's based off the books. I know a lot of people never read the books. In fact, they've just played the games and that's it. But I love the books, and I think the games did a pretty good job of doing the adaptation of the books. Books obviously better, but different thing. We're talking about the game here. I love the whole fact that you've got 2 different options of weapons. You can choose ammo. You can choose to use armor piercing ammo, which is harder to find but does more damage, or you can use it at the markets and sell it's worth more and buy upgrades for your guns and shit like that there. I like the whole different aspect of that. I love that it's set in Russia for a change instead of the typical Japan or America, shit like that there. The gameplay feels amazing. It is really good. It's not really much to say because you'd have to play it without me actually spoiling it. And if you want to play this game, you can pick up the collection on PS4 and Xbox One for next to nothing. Hell, you could pick the PC version up for next to nothing. So can't really go on too much about that. But if you're really interested, the footage in the background should give you a rough idea of what the game is actually like and what you're in for. So yeah, that's number 15. So at number 14 we have Resistance: Fall of Man. Released in 2006 for Japan and America, and then 2007 for the rest of the world, because once again, Sony doesn't care for the rest of the world. But anyhow, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment, Resistance: Fall of Man was a launch title as well, of course. I believe this to be the best Resistance game on the PS3, bar none. I love the whole setting. It's set in, UK when the Chimera invasion, which I'm not going to spoil anything because a lot of people didn't actually play these games, goes into... I'm not going to actually say anything, but other than you play in the UK and you get to see UK, landmarks like the Church of Church of England, shit like that there, which is really cool. It's a sci-fi shooter, if you haven't guessed already, which is an alternate World War II. So I can't really say much without spoiling it, because a lot of people never played it because we don't support our exclusives. And yeah. The single player is actually quite long. It takes about 12 hours to do, so it's definitely your money's worth for the single player alone. Before the multiplayer was shut down, it had 40 players in one game. That was really impressive for its time. In fact, it's impressive today still, considering not very many games do much higher than that, or that high at all. Yeah, it's an alien invasion style game. Yeah, very reminiscent of the old first-person shooter games, but as I said, I can't really go on because a lot of people have not played the Resistance series because it was exclusive to PlayStation. But if you've seen, with the footage in the background, if you're interested, please check it out. You can pick the trilogy up on PS3. You could probably pick the whole lot up for about $10. So, yeah, so there's not much to say about Resistance Fall of Man. Utterly love it, love the graphics, love the style of the game, love the weapons, I love that kind of stuff. To me, this was the second last good Insomniac game ever made. So yeah, moving on. So at number 13 we have Command & Conquer Renegade. Yes, there was a Command & Conquer that was a first-person shooter. Developed by Westwood Studios, the actual makers of Command & Conquer. Published by EA. Released in 2002. The game is a first-person shooter, very reminiscent of Battlefield. But the thing that this game, I think, nails that genre perfectly. The story had a sense of humor. It didn't take itself too seriously. You didn't have to know about the Command & Conquer universe. And the multiplayer was very surprising. But we'll get to that in a sec. So the story mode, you play as a GDI commando, Havoc. And you do these different missions where you go around, you have to, you kill people, destroy buildings, that kind of stuff. But this guy you're playing at is, think of Duke Nukem, just not, you know how Duke Nukem's more about the women and aliens. Havoc is more, pretentious. And you get some of the funniest lines in a first-person shooter from Havoc. I mean, you have to escort this scientist, and she has the ability to, with the suit she's got, she's able to detect, stealth stuff, anomalies, that kind of stuff. Now, one of the factions, the Brotherhood of Nod, for anyone that hasn't played Command & Conquer, they're the villains. They have stealth tanks and stealth stuff, right? And they're both standing there in the middle of this, field, and she's sitting there looking at her thing going, I'm detecting some readings. And the next time, all these Nod troops and tanks just surround them. And the first thing he does is looks at her and goes, nice suit. What else does it detect? Stuff like that there is... It sounds cringy as hell, I know, but when you're a kid and you hear this, you laugh your ass off. There's other ones that even Devil laughs at every time he hears it. Like for a part where he goes to leave this building, his mate goes, I'm leaving. And he goes, great, I'll join you. Oh, Monkey could do that, mate. Yeah, but you'll do. It's so stupidly funny that you have to play it to understand. It's really, the story's nothing special. It's the comedy that keeps the story, going. It's got the music from Frank Capaldi, which legendary music composer in the gaming industry. The multiplayer, now this is where we're going to talk here. The multiplayer is like Battlefield. You get credits and you go and buy, for example, the class you want to play as, the tank, your aircraft, or something like that there. It's got a bit of RTS built into the multiplayer. And you play as Nod and GDI in the multiplayer. I loved this game growing up. In fact, I still love this game, hence it's on the list. I believe it to be one of the best Command & Conquer games, despite it not being a strategy game, which is very surprising considering it's done by Westwood Studios, a company that has done other things in the past, but they've made their name off RTS. And for them to do, I believe, this was their first-person shooter they'd ever made, and to come out with something like that is very impressive for a company like that to do. And for the final product was absolutely amazing. The graphics were pretty good for their time as well, haven't aged as well, of course. But there's stuff like that there. It's just a pity that we'll never see it ever come back again. We were supposed to get another first-person shooter, Command & Conquer, but EA made sure we never would because, EA being the devil and all. So yeah, that's Renegade. Please, for the love of God, play this if you've got a computer. Just check it out and you will enjoy, the humor at least. I know that for a fact. The gameplay is really good as well. So yeah, that's Command & Conquer Renegade. So at number 12 we have the only Valve game on this list, Left 4 Dead 2. Published and developed by Valve Corporation and released in 2009, Left 4 Dead 2 was a breath of fresh air in my opinion, and I believe it to be the best game Valve has ever created. Yes, over Half-Life, you've just heard me correctly. I love this game so much that I actually went and bought the Xbox version just to play that, considering I played it on PC, of course. It's not much to say about the single player as of much because it's essentially just playing with the bots or people online doing mundane tasks like, say, for instance, filling up a car with, petrol, getting to certain areas and waiting for a helicopter, stuff like that there. It's what you're actually doing in between these segments. the AI is like planned differently, so depending on how you and your friends play, the onboard AI will actually change up the AI's spawning area and the way they're going to deal with you. That I really liked, and it shows that Valve can do amazing work when they're not being greedy bastards and selling other people's games on their servers. But Valve, please make Left 4 Dead 3 improve upon what this game has done. I'm not going to talk too much at all because, let's be honest, everyone has played Left 4 Dead and it's an amazing game and it's worthy of its entire praise. So that is number 12, Left 4 Dead 2. So at number 11 we have Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Let's be honest, the only Wolfenstein that's it's on anyone's first-person shooter list, with good reason. Developed by Grey Matter Interactive, published by Activision, and released in 2001. This game is phenomenal. The gameplay is amazing. I love the graphical design of the game. I love the whole sci-fi, supernatural aspect that Wolfenstein, lost after 2009. But anyway, I love. There's only one thing, if I can fault this game, is there's not enough boss fights. That's something that 2009 improved upon this game. If this game had boss fights similar to 2009 or the original Wolfenstein, this game would be much, much higher on the list. But unfortunately, there's like 4 boss fights in the game, and yeah. But I love, as I said, the supernatural. I love the castle that you're in, the actual castle Wolfenstein. Oh my god, it's phenomenal looking for its time. Still actually holds up today as really well. I love the music. The multiplayer I never really cared for, so I can't really say much about the multiplayer. But from what I've heard from people, it's amazing. Probably hence why it's still going, actually. I played the PC version. I've never played the console version, so I can't really, touch upon that. Yeah, what can I say about Wolfenstein? That's the last good one was 2009. Well, actually, no, sorry. Old Blood was the last good Wolfenstein game, even though I don't really see the 2 Machine Head games, Wolfenstein games, to be that great anyway. It's a lot better than Social Justice Colossus. But anyway, yeah, so that is number 11, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Pick this up, guys. It's amazing. You will not be disappointed. So here it is, guys, the top 10, and this was not easy, by the way. So number 10 we have Medal of Honor Frontline. Published by EA Games, developed by EA Los Angeles, and released in 2002. I could have easily put, there was about 4 Medal of Honors that could have taken this spot. I'm serious, that's how hard it was for this one. But I had to go with what I believe to be the best Medal of Honor, which is the Frontline. I actually played this game first in Devil's House. I'd played the Medal of Honor games, but I'd never played the console ones outside of like the PS1 versions. I've never played, the PS2 ones, Xbox and all that there, because this was a console exclusive. I was in his house, and I don't remember what we were doing. I think he may have been playing the Wii. I could be wrong. And going through his PS2 games, and I saw Medal of Honor. I'm like, yeah, what's this like? And he goes, it's pretty good. Play it if you want. So, stuck a PS2 on. And I actually sat there the whole, like, because I stayed over for a few days. I stayed there, played the whole game straight through, and completed it in his house. And I was just like, that was amazing. And we went out to the shops like the following week, and I got the game for like £1. So yeah, that's my introduction to that game. I love the gameplay. I love the the historical accuracy that Medal of Honor used to have. I love the whole Easter eggs that it also did. The music, oh my god, I still think it's got the best soundtrack for any military shooter. Yeah, it's still, to me anyway, it's probably got the best D-Day scenario. I'd say probably has that, or Call of Duty 2 would have the best D-Day scenario. But yeah, I can't really go on about this because a lot of people have played Medal of Honor Frontline. But if you're like me and you played PC and never played it, borrow a friend's PS2, or if you can, buy a real cheap PS2 and pick it up, because it is definitely worth playing. It is a really good game, hence why it's there So moving on. So at number 9 we have a controversial pick, especially this is going to make me lose all credibility as a Killzone fan. That is Killzone 1. Yes, I believe Killzone 1 is better than Killzone 2, by far. 3 shit. But anyway, Killzone 1 was published by Sony, developed by Guerrilla Games, released in 2004, and then 2005 for Japan. Then re-released for PS3 in 2012. Now, the reason I love Killzone 1 better is I think Killzone 1 handled its story better. I know it's saying a lot because 2 technically has a better story. But I like the fact that in Killzone 1, it portrayed the war scenarios a bit better in terms of, you know, the atmosphere where you're in different locales, which, you know, you get the dust kicking up, that kind of thing, which 2 did. 2 did very well, but I think 1 did it a bit better. Also, as I just stated, locales. 1 took you to snow, industrial, jungle, swamp, that kind of stuff, where Killzone 2, you were stuck, you know, in industrial the entire game, more or less. Fuck Killzone 3. And as for, you know, story mode, as I stated, 2 has a better story mode. But I like that in 1, you actually got to choose between characters in certain areas. Like, for example, Templar, you know, Luger, Rico, Haka, which, you know, I actually wanted that to come back, which it never did. You got to play as Templar, the best ISA person in the whole of, you know, the ISA. I actually got to play as a Helghast. Haka, which I'm not going to spoil anything because a lot of people did not play 1, which he's voiced by Sean Petrie, yes, the guy that would go on to voice Heradic. I think they handled Rico in this far better than they did 2, because in this one, yes, he still swears and he still comes across as a dick, but at least he doesn't do it as often, and you sort of, you know, you feel for him in this kind of game, as opposed to 2 where you just sit there and go, you know, shut up Rico, you know, that kind of thing. And Luger wasn't a bad character either, but her gun was amazing. But yeah, you got to choose between different characters. I love the weight and the feel of Killzone 1 over 2, where Killzone 2 still had that feel. I think 1 nailed it far better than what 2 did. The bots were great. Yes, 2 had better bots, but, you know, this did do bots as well, and multiplayer, that kind of thing. I still to this day think Killzone 1 has the best theme in the series, you know, like the actual opening theme, which no one ever really touches upon. I think Killzone 1 has the best theme of the series. Yeah, I mean, yes, I can agree. If someone says 2 is far superior, here's why. Yes, I can 100% agree with you, and I won't argue. It's just that I believe 1 is better. That's my opinion. I'm not trying to be some fucking hipster or any of that shit. I just had so much fun playing Killzone 1, and I still believe to this day that it's very underappreciated, the way, you know, what it was, you know, trying to do. If you're going to play this game, by all means play the PS3 version first. The PS3 version fixes most of the issues that plagued the PS2 version. And also the graphics, just real quick, the graphics were outstanding for a PS2 game at the time. Definitely one of the best looking PS2 games ever made, and just a shame that no one really give 2 shits about it, considering, you know, it was exclusive on the best selling system of all time. But yeah, that's number 9. That is Killzone. Moving on. So at number 8 we have the game Black, released in 2006, developed by Criterion Games and published by EA. I remember a magazine saying this game was like gun porn, and quite frankly, it deserves that title. Now, as I stated, it was released in 2006. Now, this is when the PS3 had launched, or just prior to the PS3's launch, should I say, sorry. Xbox 360 had been out already. Black was such a good-looking game that it actually put most Xbox 360 games and a lot of PS3 launch titles to shame. If you're looking at the footage now, Black looks incredible for a PS2 game and an Xbox original game. The destructible environments, although not on the par of Red Faction and that there, still amazing. The story, nah, forgettable. But the gameplay alone puts it this high on the list because it's so fun to pick up an assault rifle or a shotgun and just tear shit the battlefield and just, leave everything in a wake. That's exactly what this game, they designed it to be, Criterion, and they nailed it. There is no multiplayer, it's just straight up single player. I think it takes about 15 hours, but the reason it takes that long is because you cannot skip the cutscenes. So, give or take, it's about 12 hours maybe. But yeah, this is solely on the list just for the shooting. It's that good. If this interests you at all, I believe it is backwards compatible for 360, not 360, for Xbox One. So if you can find the Xbox version of the game, give it a shot. If not, always worth getting the PS2 version because Black is a really good game, as you can tell by the gameplay in the background. So yeah, that's number 8, Black. So at number 7 we have Doom 3. Yes, I know a lot of people would say, well, 1 and 2 is better than Doom 3. Doom 3 is the worst. Even the 2016 one is better. In my opinion, there is no bad Doom game. They are all fantastic games. But I believe Doom 3 to be the best. It was released in 2004, developed by id Software and published by Activision. I owned a PC, a pretty good PC at the time when this came out. My PC couldn't run it, so I actually went and bought an Xbox to play it. That's how much I was looking forward to this. And I was not disappointed. Doom 3 is a phenomenal game. The gameplay holds up really well. I love the whole, you got to switch between your flashlight and your weapon and that there. Something that they patched in the BFG edition, which I don't think they should have, or at least give us the option to choose. But nonetheless, yeah. The graphics, as I stated, I bought an Xbox because I couldn't run it at the time. Even on the Xbox, this game looked incredible. If there was one game that the PS2 crowd should have been envy for, it was definitely Doom. The story was good. It's not perfect, of course, but I like the whole, that it tried. That's the best way I'm saying it. It didn't, just do the bullshit that the first game did, where just like it was there just for the sake of it. It tried to do a story, which hit or miss. It was decent, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. The multiplayer, I don't play Doom for multiplayer, so I really didn't play it at all. And a shout out to the DLC that it had, which was unbelievable, especially the, what was its name? I forgot what the DLC was called. Hold on. Resurrection of Evil, and the other one, which I'm trying to get up here. Sorry, guys. But yeah, the DLC to this game was something a game should be pretty proud of too, considering, back in those days, DLC packs weren't that great. There was only a few games that could really do them properly. But yeah, Resurrection of Evil seems apparently to be the only one. I'm sure there was another one, but yeah, I love the whole cube that it had, and I just love the gameplay. I can't really go on too much because Doom 3, everyone has really, has played Doom 3. If not, there's no excuse. You can get it for next to nothing. I mean, I bought this up on the Steam sale for like $1.50. Like, we're talking the original and its DLC, not BFG edition. So I mean, yeah. But great gameplay, amazing atmosphere, phenomenal graphics for the time. Yeah, can't really say much. Phenomenal game. And that is number 7, Doom 3. So a game that just missed out on my top 5, because the top 5 were really hard to do. But at number 6 we have Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. Released in 1997. Developed by Iguana Entertainment and published by Acclaim. Well, I've went on about this game a lot in the past, and I still think it's the best 64 shooter that was ever made. I believe it to be one of the best shooters ever made, hence why it's on this list. And I want the series to make its return. But this game, I remember buying it, and like I bought the 64 version, and my face just dropped like of how amazing it was. I love the atmosphere, I love the music, and I love that opening where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm Turok, and you're just like, yeah. I'll show you sometime on camera. I actually have a statue of the cover of the game, like where it's got Turok stabbing a Velociraptor with a knife. I actually have a statue of that still in its box. I love this game so much, and I can't really go on about it because I've talked about it quite a lot on this channel, and there's not really much to say. It was remastered for Xbox One and PC, so you have no excuse to play it. Although, come on, someone, release it for PS4, and Switch, give them Turok. It's only fair that we give you Crash Bandicoot, but yeah. Turok Dinosaur Hunter, phenomenal game, and yes, a lot of people are saying, well, 2's better. I sort of disagree. I think 1 still is the best in the series, but what can you do? So that is number 6, moving on. So here we go, top 5. This was hard to do, guys, so let's get started. Number 5, Fear 2 Project Origin, released in 2009, developed by Monolith Productions and published by Warner Brothers. Why did I pick Fear 2 over Fear 1? Well, as I stated before in a past video, Fear 1 has better gameplay. It's got the best gameplay in shooter history. There's no denying that. Fear 2, on the other hand, nailed everything it needed to nail. It nailed the graphics, the story, its gameplay, although not as good as the first, was still good nonetheless. I didn't play the multiplayer, so I can't really go on about that. But let's get into some of those features that I just mentioned there. The gameplay did take a hit. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it's still a very good first-person shooter that still holds up today and still puts a lot of other shooters to shame. The story mode, okay. The story mode, flat, like it's without question the best story mode in the series. And it's one of the best story modes in first-person shooter. The horror aspect of the first game was never fleshed out as well as it should have been. Fear 2 fixes that by introducing different elements into the game, especially the skull level, which, oh my god, for anyone that had never played it before and was caught off guard on that level, well, it definitely left a lasting impression for me. The ending, which I'm not going to spoil, I did not see it coming, and when it happened, me and Devil just looked at each other and went, what? Hence why we've got a funny ass nickname for it, but I'm not going to give it the nickname because it will spoil the ending. It is an amazing game. I mean, I'm surprised that they have not released 1 and 2, even 3 for example. 3 is not that bad. They haven't released all the Fear games in a collection for PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, I think they're sorely needed. And Fear 2, I love the story, I love the gameplay. In fact, as I stated, it's my favorite Fear game, which is pretty good to say the least, considering Fear, 1 has better gameplay. But yeah, so yeah, the story, gameplay, all great. I love the game, and that is number 5 on my list. So here we go, number 4, finally a Call of Duty, which is probably what a lot of people were waiting on. That is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Yes, I believe it to be better than the first Modern Warfare and World at War. So the game was developed by Infinity Ward, published by Activision, and released in 2009. Let me get started. The multiplayer wasn't as good as World at War or Modern Warfare 1. I believe it's had too many hackers that really hurt it, but it's still an amazing game to play online, so it's nothing too bad to go, give it too much, slack for. But when it comes to the story, this game is the best in the series. I love the whole over-the-top Michael Bay stuff that it tried to go for. I think it did it proper, not bullshit, retarded shit that Modern Warfare 3 tried to do. A good example, I love the whole fact where you're in like the tunnel, Like, this is a spoiler, but come on, this game sold like, what, 20 million copies, so there's no real, you know, everyone's bound to have played the story or has checked it out if they were interested. But when you're leaving like tunnels in like America, because, you know, first time playing, you're like, okay, where am I now? And you're like a pack of soldiers, and you come out and you're actually on the grounds of the White House fighting the Russians. I thought that was a phenomenal, like, that was a well done you know, set piece. It didn't set it up, you know, it's to be like bombastic. It just, you know, boom. And the music by Hans Zimmer in the background at the time was done so well that, you know, it had that feeling of, you know, the Americans were, you know, losing. And then it, you know, at the end of that scenario, you just had to fuck off out of America on the helicopters. That is what I miss from Call of Duty, those kind of scenarios, not the bullshit they've been giving out now, where it's like, for example, World War II, where like the train comes off the track and rolls and explodes for like 40 minutes. But another good example for this is obviously the mission No Russian, which everyone remembers for the whole controversy that it brought up. I think the mission was fantastic. It was done phenomenal. It put you in the, you know, at the time you didn't know that you were undercover, but it made you feel like you were, you know, the terrorist. You were going through this Russian airport killing innocent civilians, and you're sitting there going to yourself, you got to give props to Infinity Ward for doing this, you know, going out there and doing something so ballsy, which unfortunately we've never seen ever again, and we never will see ever again, because there's too many social justice peckerheads out there that'll complain about the game or anything that a game will try to do like that there. But before I end this segment for Call of Duty, the Spec Ops missions is where I put most of my hours into this game. Me and Devil played the Spec Ops so much that I actually got the platinum to this game. The Spec Ops, for anyone that doesn't know, is it takes scenarios from the main story and gives you little objectives in those areas. Me and Devil did all of them on Veteran, and some of them, by the way, were unbelievably difficult. We ended up getting the platinum and we were loving it, and then Activision was like, oh, we're releasing new DLC for the Spec Ops, and we're just like, yes, we're going to buy this. Yeah, it turns out they never came out. Turns out they never released any at all. It was just DLC for the multiplayer, and we wouldn't see Spec Ops make its return until Modern Warfare 3. So thanks for that, Activision. But, yeah, I believe Modern Warfare 2 to be the best Call of Duty ever made, and quite frankly, the last Call of Duty deserving of its high praise. That's just my opinion, but yeah. So that, guys, is number 4. So let's move on. So here we are, top 3. And at number 3 we have Crysis 2. Yes, I prefer it over the others. Technically the actual third game in the series, but for the expansion it doesn't really get mentioned for some reason. But anyhow, developed by Crytek, published by EA, and released in 2011. Crysis 2 is perhaps, in my opinion, one of the greatest games ever made, and a technical achievement in video gaming. Although people like to brag about the first game with its semi-open world, I think Crysis 2 nailed it better with the whole New York, you know, concrete jungle that it went for, and it's why I believe it to be the best in the series. So you got the single player, which takes place just after the first game, which I won't be spoiling. But the opening, it's, you don't do anything except it's like a walking simulator for the first 10 minutes, and then after that song, and you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that song. If you've played this game, that song by Hans Zimmer just kicks in, and you're like, oh yes, here we go. And from then on, we got what I believe to be one of the best shooters ever made. The story was fantastic. The game is very lengthy. I like the whole fact that it gave you different options and upgrades. Unfortunately, stealth was a bit overpowered. I like the fact that, you know, if you want to, you can go in guns blazing and wipe out an entire area, or you can actually just sneak past everyone. It's up to you. The ending was phenomenal, especially the last area of the game. The set pieces in this game. Now, we were just talking about Modern Warfare 2. This game's set pieces are, oh my god, they are a wow, just beautiful. They are really beautiful. The multiplayer is it's not very good. It was done by Crytek UK. For anyone that doesn't know, it's the former Free Radical team. The multiplayer I wasn't too fond of, but it's all about that single player. If you can't tell, the game still looks better than anything on a console. Yeah, and if the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X is so boastful about its power, why don't you port Crysis 1, 2, and 3 over and show us what you can do? But until then, nah, it's not going to work out. But Crysis 2, phenomenal game. I can't talk about it because it didn't do as well as it should have, and I believe it to be the best in the series, and that's just my opinion. So that is number 3, Crysis 2. So number 2 is Duke Nukem 3D. Developed by 3D Realms, published by GT Interactive, and released in 1996. This is the best shooter from the 90s. It's better than Wolfenstein, better than Doom. And I'll tell you why. It had personality. Something the others two, or any id Software game, didn't really have at that time. I remember playing this game because my parents let me watch and play adult movies, adult games, that kind of shit, because they knew I wasn't going to end up being some super serial killer shit all these other assholes end up being. I fell in love with Duke Nukem 3D. I honestly believe that it still holds up better than most shooters today, and it goes to show that 3D Realms were a phenomenal developer until Gearbox sued the shit out of them and took the game off them. But if you've never played Duke Nukem, it's essentially Doom with personality, a main character, and you're fighting aliens instead of demons. And Duke Nukem is the greatest video game character ever. I don't care what anyone says. He really is. I just can't really say much about it. The add-ons to this game were phenomenal, where you got the DC one. I forgot what that's actually called. I'll have a look here. I think it was just called DC Downtown or some shit. Duke It Out in DC, that's what it was. That was funny. It wasn't the best add-on, but it was funny as hell. The Duke Caribbean Lives to Beach is, oh my god, that was brilliant. Like, obviously, as you can tell, it's a on the beach, but it has a lot of taking the piss out of Disneyland and all. It's funny as hell. And the final one that I played, because I haven't played any of the others, is the Nuclear Winterland, or Nuclear Winter, which takes the piss out of Christmas, and it is funny as hell. And also, obviously, the add-on for the anniversary thing, but I'm talking the old 3D one. Please, for the love of God, play this game. If you have not played it, I mean, you have no excuse considering the game is so old now. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see Duke Nukem ever return to his glory because of Randy Pitchford owning the franchise now, and let's be honest, he tells lies, sweet little lies. And I wouldn't trust him as far as his magic tricks. But yeah, Duke Nukem 3D, definitely one of the greatest games of all time, and number 2 on my list, but there's only one game that can top it. That brings us to number 1, a very obvious choice, Timesplitters Future Perfect, or Timesplitters 3 as I call it. Developed by Free Radical Design, which is the ones that I mentioned in the Crysis one. Published by EA and released in 2005. No shooter will ever top this game. Not even fucking Timesplitters 2 can even top this game. This game, I honestly believe, is a masterpiece. It deserves a 10. It's that good. Everything that I've mentioned in this video, whether it be Far Cry map editing, Timesplitters did it first, and it still allows you to do it. Timesplitters lets you play the entire story mode co-op if you feel necessary to do so. And it doesn't just shoehorn you in. You actually play as the character that the main character sees in that time zone, which I think is really smart of them to do. There was there was so many challenges in the game, so many different things to earn. There was so many characters to unlock. There was so many different accolades to unlock, titles to unlock, guns to unlock. In fact, there are so many to unlock that me and Devil never got 100% unlocked because we didn't know how, because this is before the internet, of course. We didn't know how to fucking get it unlocked because we were sitting at 98.9 or some shit like that there, and I think we needed a title. That's all we needed. And we couldn't get it. So yeah, that was fun. The map editor, as I stated, you could make your own maps. You could do whatever you wanted, what game mode you wanted, what people spawned, that kind of shit. It's different stuff like that. There, you could have robots running around in like the 1930s, that kind of shit. And you could send this to people online, share it with people online, save it on your memory card, take it to your friend, let them play it, vice versa. Stuff like that there. The many game modes that it had: deathmatch, team deathmatch, capture the flag, capture the bag. It had infection, which was essentially tag you're it kind of thing. It had shrink, so the one winning the most would I believe become larger than the others, and the ones losing become very small. There was vampire, where your health slowly went down and down and down. You had to kill to keep it up. There were so many game modes in this game that you'd be hard pressed to say that you've done everything in this game and find it to be boring. Just talking about this game, I want to go and play it. It's that good. And the story, because I haven't really said much about the story without actually spoiling it. You play as a character that goes through different parts of time, and you're trying to grab these crystals, and you meet different interesting people, which, by the way, some are hilarious. And the character has got that, as I stated from Command & Conquer Renegade, he's got that humor to him, where he doesn't take itself too seriously, and even the characters around him won't take themselves too seriously, which I really like. The graphics were really good for their time. In fact, still hold up not too bad today. The weapons felt amazing. In fact, in the game modes, you could have everyone run around with bricks if you wanted to. Everyone run around with rocket launchers, that kind of stuff. Remember, this is the developers that were the ones that were the ones that made GoldenEye, and then split from Rare. Yeah, there's not much to really go on about. I'll be here till Christmas. The amount of characters you can unlock, from monkeys, snowmen, hand puppets, to robots, soldiers, Native Americans. There's that many you can do in this game. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's that good. The music is phenomenal as well. Yeah. I just can't really. I really should actually shut up now. So that is number one, guys. It'll always be number one to me. It'll never be beat unless Time Splitters 4 comes out and ends up being better. But yeah. So tell me what you think in the comments. What game I'm missing, or what game you thought should have been there, or different stuff like that there. Thanks to Devil for getting the footage for this. And yeah, this was a hard list to make, especially the top 5 and even top 6, because Turok could have easily been in there instead, but I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with my guns. That's it. So there you go, guys. That's my top 20 first person shooter list. As stated, let us know in the comments what you think, what this and that. And I will eventually, sometime through the year, we'll do an RPG list, but I'll do some other videos before then, of course. So, anyhow, this is Private Mittens. Take care, guys, and see you later. Bye.